0.1% doesn't seem much. However, what would horribly, catastrophically, go wrong if it was off by 0.1%? Tell us what was your favorite story in the comments, and if you also have a story to share, leave it in the comments below. Let's get right into the video. If 0.1% of all airline flights crashed, there would be around 87 crashes every day. I wonder how many car crashes there are every day. Edit. Marks all in box tabs as read. More than 87, I reckon. Moving images on a Word document. Edit. Yes eyes. I do actually know that wrap text exists, just let me attempt to be funny. See that nice document over there? It'd sure be a shame if you moved anything NASA does. All that space shit for sure. We're aiming for the moon, Ash. Genetic engineering, you fuck with 0.1% of genes and your baby has banana eyes. Humans initially all had banana eyes, that's where the phrase keep your eyes peeled comes from. Wow guys, 11 awards, and not one platinum. Pathetic. Just kidding, thank you for the kind words everyone, I'm really humbled and glad I made so many people laugh. Rocket angled an extra 0.1% to the left. At larger distances that adds up. Aiming for Saturn. Found Io instead. Hot water knob and shower. I feel you, man. Carbon content in steel. Steel such as 1095 steel are literally just iron with 0.95% carbon in the composition. A difference of 0.1% carbon content would dramatically change the properties of the steel in question. This is true of other chemicals and alloys, but carbon is the most well known. If I recall correctly, molybdenum is added at proportions of like 0.05% and still makes a big difference in properties. Absolutely. In WW2, Germany was short on molybdenum, so we used vanadium for our tanks instead. This resulted in a more brittle steel, which often lead to catastrophic failure in battle. Alloys are the most important thing in steel, along with temperature treatment. Fuck it up and someone is going to have a bad day. The United States Postal Service delivers 187.8 million pieces of first-class mail per year. If 0.1% of those go missing, that's 187,800 missing items. Did I say per year? I meant per day. Are you sure this isn't already a fact? Hand sanitizer. It'd go from killing 99.9% of bacteria to killing 100%. You thought you were just cleaning your hands because you got some ice on them at the gas station and it still smelled odd, but little do you know, you've just brought about the end of times. Your hand sanitized hands immediately have no surviving microbiotic life, and the purging energies of pure lonely continue to surge forth. Bacteria all across the gas station suddenly die in an ever-expanding circle of bacterial annihilation. Your gut microbiome dies, which will lead to horrible nutritional imbalances down the line. Corpses stop decomposing. Everyone sick with flu suddenly seems fine again. But fine they are not. It takes days for the purge of all bacterial life to really start to sink in, but it soon does. All plants begin to wither and sag into dead tatters. They had needed bacteria as an essential step in their respiration. Too bad now they're all dead. The dying plant biomass won't rot, as rot is no longer a thing that is possible. Or, at least, not at any time scale we're used to. It'll just stack up endlessly, smothering entire ecosystems in dead waste. All animal wastes begin to accumulate and pile, with no bacterial life, to recycle waste into nutrients for the environment. Grazing animals can still eat at the dead plant matter because it isn't rotting, but it doesn't matter. Grazers probably die first. Not only are plants they eat no longer reproducing, but they can't even digest cellulose anymore without gut bacteria. They'll slowly wither away and starve to death in fields of dead grass. The food chain just had a fundamental link severed. Predator animals die next. Their prey is dead, emaciated, and largely nutritionless, and their own digestive systems are poorly functioning without those all too missed gut bacteria. Rapidly, entire ecosystems experience total catastrophic collapse. Faced with a total failure of every natural system, humans see their death approaching as sure as the setting sun on the horizon. As the last man dies, he may wonder what horrid act of God brought about the end of times, and what humanity had done to earn such a fate. He never knew that true villain was pure, and that the first victims of this apocalypse were things he'd never stopped to value in life. Ironically enough, humans were less than 0.1% of bacteria, mass-wise. The apocalypse had already happened the moment the gas station sanitation wave was unleashed. This was just the dust settling. Trying to follow your mom's instructions. Looks at recipe. How much is a smidge? 0.1% less humans. That is a lot less people. The Leftovers is a TV series about the aftermath of only 2% of the world's population going missing instantly. Super interesting premise. The trajectory of a nuclear warhead. Back in the 50s and 60s, that's actually why the warheads were so big. The missiles were only so accurate, so you needed to make a bigger boom in case your missile was off by a mile or two. If 0.1% of all people's hearts stopped, 7.7 million deaths. What's really frightening is, if that is globally distributed, the world wouldn't even take notice. There'd be no noticeable carbon drop-off, a lava black death. All we'd have is another year like 2016 where you noticed a lot of funerals. Maybe that's what happened. If it happened all in one place, though, that's a sizable city gone in an instant. City? My country only has about 9 million people. Yeah, my country will be wiped out with some negative borders LMAO. The trajectory of a nuclear warhead. Back in the 50s and 60s, that's actually why the warheads were so big. The missiles were only so accurate, so you needed to make a bigger boom in case your missile was off by a mile or two. In the 2000 US presidential election between George W. Bush and Al Gore, it came down to what was basically one state in the Electoral College. Whoever took Florida would have enough Electoral College votes to put them in the White House. Until the result in Florida was known, neither side could claim victory, and Florida was close. Like, really close. After recounts and a contentious Supreme Court decision, it was determined that Bush had received 2,912,790 votes to Gore's 2,912,253. In short, the presidency was decided by just 537 votes out of 5.8 million, not a margin of 0.1%, but 0.01%. Depending on your view of the Bush administration, that may very well count as going horribly, catastrophically wrong. A worker at my dad's metal processing plant made an error even smaller than that, I believe. It was a small metal part for machines that make plastics, so they need to be quite precise. They ran out of one metal length, so they were making the part out of a slightly longer metal to start with and just trimming more of it off for the final product. The initial trim left in excess of 100 microns, which even on a plate that is 1 inch in size, is just something like 0.003% of the size. A worker failed to double check, since they were so accustomed to the normal metal size being used, and cleared the metal through for the final processing. Well, it turns out that excess 0.003% made the material unusable after it was finished, and it cost the company over $13,000. Precision machining boggles my mind. I work in an ammunitions plant. Being off by just 0.001 with respect to concentricity, length, width, etc. can cause $1,000s in revenue to be scrapped. I have seen scrapped parts up north of $90k. The guy didn't get fired, only written up. That money is nothing to billion-dollar companies. Back. If you mean blood alcohol content, that's a really good one. That's the one. There is something called the 1% rule of internet culture, where it says that only 1% of users on a website are actively creating content, while 99% of people lurk. If that went down by 0.1%, that would be a significant loss to the content most of us enjoy on a daily basis. Guys, that is all for the video. If you enjoyed it, leave a like and subscribe. Tell us what your favorite story was, and if you also have a story, leave it in the comments.